Sanders, you see him right there. They're trying to prove that they should be starting for Cleveland in a crowded quarterback room. As you see him out on the field, they're trying to make sure they make the team, right? Both quarterbacks, though, sounding pretty optimistic during rookie camp over the weekend. Let's listen in to what they said when they spoke to the media.
My job here isn't to prove people wrong. Like, I prove myself right. That's and I fully have self-belief, you know, and what those people say, that's just their opinion. So I don't truly care. They don't really live in my mental space about that type of stuff. It really doesn't do anything for me.
With that though, what was your reaction when you found out they did draft Shedeur after they drafted you?
Yeah, I love it. You know, I love it because of who it is. You know, I think just for us both, you can learn from one another, but also it's not just us two in the room, at least for right now it is, but, you know, going into the year, Kenny, Joe, and even Deshaun, just a bunch of guys who played a bunch of ball that we can all learn from one another.
All right, D. Wood, what do you think of what we heard and saw from Shedeur and Gabriel this weekend?
Yeah, listen, I think the media out there in Cleveland, you know, drumming up the fact that it's two rookie quarterbacks, the competition. I think both of those guys did a good job of not allowing it to wedge and become the focal point of the whole weekend. And listen, they're going to have to earn their keep. They're both, you know, 3rd and 5th round draft picks respectively. Nothing's going to be given to them. And so by all accounts, they had a pretty good weekend. You know, they're still going to be in stiff competition with two veteran guys. And obviously with Kevin Stefanski calling the plays, is, you know, we're going to see if one of these guys emerges later on in training camp.
Yeah, and I think the Browns are open to that possibility, D. Wood. Now, the two veteran guys you mentioned, obviously, Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett. We don't expect Deshaun Watson to be a factor as he recovers from his injury. I would think they open up, the offseason program and training camp with Flacco as the number one guy because he's got the most experience. But they're going to try and get all these guys as many reps as possible in their rookie minicamp, which is almost always classroom heavy and not a lot of on-field work. Kevin Stefanski put in some 7-on-7 passing drills so he could get Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel some reps that they don't usually have in rookie minicamps. So they will be conscious throughout the offseason of getting everybody a fair number of reps so they can make an informed decision. It is a wide open competition among those 4 players, and they are completely open to the idea of any of the 4 winning the job.
That's just fascinating information there from Graz that shows you how difficult it may be to get all of these guys the reps that they need to really see what they want to see, knowing the Jags. And we've all been curious to see what position that man is playing, Travis Hunter. So far, he's been playing wide receiver a lot. We know Liam Cohen and the Jags have a plan in place. And Hunter was asked about how he's been splitting his time between the 2 units since he was drafted last month.
I've been already getting integrated to the defense. I've been doing offense and defense. The past 2 days, I just came out here and did offense. So much different, you know, you just got to get used to it. You know, it's just a lot of different type of calls, but other than that, the defense is pretty easy. Just got to get used to the offense. Just longer calls and, you know, concepts are different. You know, organization expected a lot out of me. You know, expect me to come out here and play right away, so I'm going to do whatever it takes for me to get out there and play right away.
Now, here's why it might make sense for him to play more receiver on this particular team. Trevor Lawrence last year struggled throwing to vertical routes, ranking 20th or worse in yards, completion percentage, and touchdowns. Travis should help in that department. He caught 5 touchdowns as a receiver on vertical routes last year, 10th most in the FBS. Roz, what is the Jags' plan for Hunter to learn the offense and the defense?
It's basically kind of what you heard from him. They want him to learn the offense, like make that a priority first. I think that's what they gave him the most to do in his first week there. And then they'll feed him the defense as he goes along. Given the price the Jaguars paid to trade up and select Travis Hunter second in the NFL draft, they expect him to contribute on both sides of the ball and in a significant way. But in terms of giving him everything all at once, they felt the better way to approach it when he first got there was to teach him the offense and then start adding in aspects of the defense as he went along. You heard him say there he feels like then I think you'll continue to see him sort of major in offense throughout the offseason and learn the defense as it goes along.
Let's focus on the offensive side. Mina, how does the addition of Hunter help Trevor Lawrence?
I mean, it helps in a number of ways. You know, he catches everything. He's a contested catch machine. You put up that vertical number, the lack of vertical offense last year, him and Brian Thomas Jr. combined, it's just going to be so much more explosive. But I'll single out something in particular I think that he'll be excellent at in this offense, and that's screens. Yeah. So last year, Liam Cohen's Bucs offense was the best screen offense in football in expected points added. Travis Hunter, if you watch this tape at Colorado, was fantastic off of screens, which they used a ton of. He's so elusive in the open field. He's so explosive. He's so fast. And that gives Trevor Lawrence an answer against pressure. It can be an extension of the run game. So not only will he help him throwing downfield, but it'll help him in the short game as well. And I think that's going to be huge. Yeah,
to that point, Mina, he'll be great after the catch. He forced 27 missed tackles and receptions last year, tied for fourth most in the FBS. So shifty out there. All right, check this out, this post from a woman who met Hunter on his flight. You may have seen this circling around social media, but this is really cool. She says, I met the nicest young man who sat next to me, offered to put my bag in the overhead compartment, help me with my tray. Anyone would be proud to have him as a son or a grandson. So polite. People were walking by saying, congratulations, great job. And she's like, well, who am I sitting next to? And he smiled and said, I'm Travis. Yes, I was drafted by the Jags. I already told my sons I want his jersey. I know we've said this a few times on our show, but Travis Hunter truly is a special human being.
I more so hit people or attack their one shoulder, but I mean, people want to sleep, they can sleep. You know, I have no issue with that. It feels good when you run somebody over and then get in the end zone. I mean, it feels good when you get in the end zone, but imagine running someone over and then running another person over and then getting in the end zone. It's that much better, you know.
Scatterbo's like this just vintage running back, throwback a little bit, right, D. Wood? How fun is he going to be to watch this season?
Excuse me, Laura, I might have to go strap on my shoulder pads and get ready because that's the type of response that every offensive lineman wants to hear from their running back. And he's going to play perfectly in the New York market. I can tell you that right now. He's a different type of back than Tyrone Tracy. He's a physical that wants to bring the physicality to the defensive player. And that's big blue football. If you think about it, when the Giants were really good, when they were really relevant, they always had a rushing attack. So if he can bring that type of physicality to the New York Giants offense, boy, he's going to be beloved here in this area.
You know what's fun about Scatterbo is there's all these reps of him from college or highlights of him like barreling through 20 dudes, just refusing to go down at the goal line. But Damian, he also has the softest hands as a pass catcher. Like he's a third down back. He is tremendous actually as a receiver, which is a very unusual combination of skills. So I'm excited to see how the Giants use him throwing him the football, because let me tell you, don't be fooled by how he looks as a runner. He can catch it.
Mina, absolutely correct. The Giants know this and love it about him. Obviously, they have Tyrone Tracy from last year, who's a former wide receiver, but they didn't love the way he was in terms of pass protection and necessarily even reliably catching the ball. So there is an opportunity there for Scatterbo to contribute in a couple of ways.
He had the second most yards after contact in the FBS last season, trailing only Ashton Genty, who D. Wood also loves. But I got to say, Scatterbo's the one that's got you ready to strap the pads back on, D. Wood. So he might be your new favorite. All right, more on NFL Live.
Tiếp tục. Đấy, mũi nữa. Mình làm luân phiên này là được. Cỡ thêm len để dùng nhé. Bây giờ sẽ móc tiếp. Móc xuống này. Móc lần lượt từng mũi.